Women on a green mission. Follow along as two friends document their unfurling permaculture journeys.
Join our chats each week where we'll be sharing how we and others apply permaculture to our gardens and daily life.
We're no experts. We're at the start of our journey, fumbling our way to a greener life. We'd love your company along the way.
Hey.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sitting here. I've got my cup of tea. Isn't that so cute?
Ooh.
I got
I
that.
used to collect teacups when I was a teenager. Yeah, and I've got all these special ones.
Oh.
They're in storage at the moment, but I actually used to use them all the time. Like they weren't collectibles for me. Like I used them and made it a bit of a ritual. I love my little special teacups.
I've never been a tea drinker. I've always been a bit more of a coffee drinker. But I like my herbal teas. Like I'm not a sort of like a, I don't know, black tea or regular tea drinker. Yeah. And I've never really had like little teacups like this. And I was actually at a high tea event at Limestone, and Bron was actually putting together packs to raise money for breast cancer research. And so in that little care pack was like teacup, and there was some teas, and there was some bath salts, and there was some rose flavored honey. There was just some really beautiful little things in there. And everyone else is buying these packs. Oh, I'll give it to this person. It'd be such a great gift. And I got mine home because I just bought one, so I like it. I thought, I'm giving this as a gift for me. And so I love my little teacup. And I really enjoy having my herbal tea. So I'm actually having my anti-inflammatory tea in here this morning.
Nice.
But yeah, I really enjoy it.
Lovely. I find like when I have a little cup as well, I'll make a pot of tea rather than if I have a mug and I'll have rather than
mind you, that looks
having
like
a tea bag.
That looks terrible. Doesn't it? Looks like I was gonna say it looks like urine in the bottom of my teapot there, but
and so how have you been this
nice ceremony?
Yeah. How have you been this week?
Yeah, really good. Things have I'm back at work, and actually feeling energetic and refreshed. And I made the end of last week I made a heap of sauerkraut. So I've got 4 big jars of sauerkraut. So I'm actually going to rejar one today, and that's going to go in the fridge. That's a week fermenting, and then I'm just basically going to do one every week, so that we've got different levels of ferment, so different flavors for different, I like mine sort of that medium. Ant quite likes his, very fermented and quite punchy. Mitch likes it quite mild, and also, the longer it ferments, like it has different bacterias and different health benefits as well. I don't know what they all are, but I know that, if you ferment for a week, it might be lacking a little bit for something that's fermented for 3 weeks. So I thought, well, I'm just going to do it like that, and then I'll label it all up, and then we've just got this really nice gut health selection in the fridge that we can tap into.
Nice.
So yeah, they're going along quite nicely. It was funny though. Mitch was in the kitchen the other night. He's like, "What is that noise? Like I can hear this." Like it's like a popping sound or a dripping sound. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I can't hear anything. And I was sitting on the lounge. He goes, come over here and listen. So he's standing over in the corner and we're listening. And it's just the ferment bubbling through, because I've got the water pipes on them, and then I've got another little one which is just like a silicon nipple. But the water pipes, like as the gas is being released, obviously go pop. And he was doing his head, and he's like, I can hear something. It's a mouse. And I'm like, must don't sound like that.
That's funny.
Oh, and what about you? What have you been up to this week?
What have we been up to? Mainly just seedlings, just potting up seedlings into bigger pots. Yeah, that's it really. We've had a bit of a busy week around here. Oscar's been away, and the kids have had lots of play dates this week, so I've been doing lots of peopling. We do the markets and then a beach play afterwards on a Wednesday with all of our bush kindy friends, and then we did bush kindy on Thursday, which ended up being like a really long session. We stayed behind and the mums were all chatting, and so yeah, just lots of peopling this week, which has been really nice, a bit different. Haven't had a lot of time in the yard. I think I've caught that spring cleaning fever because I've just been frantically just wanting to clean the house and sort things out, and it's quite warm here already, so putting all our winter clothes away, changing all our blankets over. So I feel like a lot of my week got eaten up in all those kind of, organizing, sorting kind of tasks.
How
And it
good
was
does that feel
definitely,
though? Like it's so cathartic, isn't it?
productive.
Like when you
Yeah.
do that. Like I love it when I get stuck into like a good wardrobe clean out or a pantry clean
Mm.
out, and then I get, as you do, you get into the middle of it and everything's everywhere and it's a shit fight, and it's like you're going, what have I done? Like I don't have 4 hours to put into this. I have an hour. So it's like, right, let's just go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it feels so good though when it's done.
Well, I stripped the lounge cushions one night and soaked them and was going to wash them the next day. And we woke up and Frank had like torn all the cushions to tiny little pieces.
Oh no.
So that was a bit frustrating.
Oh,
But
Frank.
anyway, it was
Oh my
kind of
God.
Oscar's fault because I normally put them up on the table so he can't get to them when they don't have covers because they're just so tempting, like these fluffy little foamy things. And Oscar left them on the lounge. And obviously he was going to
You just went, well,
have a
look,
go.
there's a chew toy. Like I need to
Yeah.
indulge, and I just need to, you don't need cushions. You need to, you're into minimization. You don't need cushions. That's what he was saying. So I'm just going to help you
Yeah.
out with this. I'm just going to make them far easier to dispose of.
So Oscar doesn't listen to the podcast. So I mostly blame Oscar, but partly blame the dog.
Oscar bust straight under.
Oh, man. But yes,
Oh,
but yeah, that's kind of been our week. Nothing too out of the
fantastic.
ordinary.
No, just a standard week. I need to get out into the garden a little bit more. I haven't, and things have just gone as they do this time of year. Taken off, and I haven't fed my fruit trees, which I'm actually doing this afternoon. I did buy more fruit trees during the week because we did have to go and get some things, and so I went to the big green shed, and unfortunately there was a little sale happening, and I went, well, I need this in my life. And then I was like, oh, I don't have that variety. Oh, I don't have that variety. Oh,
So
Aunt
what
got a
did you
trolley.
get?
Oh, we got some more citrus. So we wanted some more oranges. So we got some navel oranges, some Valencia oranges. I got another mandarin. I can't remember the variety. I got a peach nectarine cross. I got
Ooh.
one of the royal cherries. I got another tangerine. Sorry, not tangerine, a tangelo. I got a peach apricot mix. I got a few. I got another for Joa, so we've got one up there already. It was looking very sad by itself, and I went, wow, how do you not be sad? Is you get a friend. So that I get a friend. So
Excellent.
yeah, we had the other thing that happened too, which was a bit shit. We had an outbreak of what is it called? With the
Which
chickens,
animal?
it's a digest. Oh, I can't think of the name of it. I've got a complete mental blank. But it's a parasite, like a digestive system parasite. So I couldn't work out what was wrong. So a few of them were looking a bit lackluster, and I thought, oh, maybe they're the old girls. And then I was kind of watching the flock going, something's not quite right. And then 3 days in a row, we lost hens. So 2 days in a row. So one day we lost 2 hens from the big coop, and then we lost one of the older girls from our smaller coop. And so then I'm frantically scrambling, and had to go and get some medicine. So there's some medicine you can get to add to the water, which isn't like an antibiotic. It's quite odd. It's so it treats this parasite, but you can also then use it as a preventative. And apparently it's quite natural. It's quite good. But I try and do everything as organic and natural as possible. But when it comes to my animal health, it's like the animals' health comes first before anything else. So if I do need to treat with something, I will. So so we've been doing that all week, and everyone's just like perked right up again. So
Oh, that's
obviously
good.
the wet, warm conditions, it's parasite season. So we've already gone through our phase of worming. We're about to worm the horses. The sheep will get wormed when they get shorn in December. So so that was a bit shitty. So the deep freezer was quite full, so our morgue was packed, and we went, well, we've got to come and dig some holes and plant some trees now. It's time to put them in the ground. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon is, feeding, so wormwee, weed tea, onto the fruit trees. I do have some organic dynamic lifter that I've had for so long. So I'm going to use the rest of that as well and put that on the trees too. Probably remulch. That'll be, I'd say, next week. I don't think I'll get to that today. And yeah.
Nice.
So we've had quite a bit going on. It's funny, like, you asked me, like, what have you been doing? I'm like,
you
not
don't
much.
think about it. Yeah.
It's like, no, we've had heaps. Oh. So who have we got this week?
Yeah, so this week we've got Beth, or as she's known on the socials, Dirt Mum. So we had a great chat with her. She was really interesting. She works with children in kitchen garden programs in some schools at an early childhood facility, and she does speaking gigs. And yeah, it was just a good chat. We talked about lots of different things. We talked about resiliency and teaching children. We talked about a few of her personal kind of philosophies on life and gardening. Yeah, she's just really interesting. She's based down in the Blue Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So she's down that way.
I was going to say, and we totally vibed with her because she's a sunflower girl as well. She loves the sunflowers, and we both went, oh, so do we. So, she's, right up our alley.
Yeah. So, yeah, we hope you enjoy. And as always, jump in our Facebook group to continue the chat. And we'll see you next week.
Enjoy.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to another week of the Practical Permaculture podcast. This week, Joe and I are joined by Beth, or Dirt Mum, on Instagram and the socials. Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's a beautiful sunny day. Spring's in the air.
Yes, I know, right?
It's good.
Before we get too far into our recording, we just like to acknowledge where we are recording on. So where are you, Beth?
Hi, I'm on Darug and Gunnedarra land in the Blue Mountains.
Lovely. And you, Joe?
I'm at home, so I'm in the Hunter Valley on the lands of the Wanneroo people.
And I'm up in the Northern Rivers on Yagle country. So, do you want to just tell us a bit about yourself, Beth, where you live, your context, and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Dirt Mum. I work and live in the lower Blue Mountains. I'm a kitchen garden educator, but really I just love playing in the dirt. I just love playing in the mud. I love being out with the chickens. I love hanging out with my kids. And I found a way to make a living with that. So yeah, I've created a business, which I'm at the moment in the process of converting from more of a blog style to actually doing workshops and reaching the potential that I always envisioned. So yeah, I teach the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation programs in 2 schools and 1 early learning centre. So I get paid to play in the mud. It is amazing.
How good is that?
So good. It's literally a dream come true. I said to Mum years and years ago when I went into childcare, I said, oh, I get paid to play. And then I wrote to Mum yesterday, I not only get paid to play, I actually get paid to teach people how to play. It's amazing. So, no, it's really good.
Is that your background, teaching?
I'm early childhood trained. I'm not a teacher. I'm a carer.
Okay.
Yeah, so I used to, and then I went into childcare on my own, raising kids at home. And now I am working in the school system and then back to early learning centre as well. And just continuing on with playgroup and being with the people.
Yeah, so, same as me. I did 10 years in early childhood.
Yep.
And then had kids and started doing my own
still
thing.
Doing childhood?
So, yes, very much.
24/7. Yep.
And so how did you come across permaculture, Beth? So for you, was it sort of something that kind of just landed in your lap? Was it a slow burn? What was your discovery?
Well, I guess it's always been in me. I was raised on a farm down near Canberra, between Goulburn and Canberra. So I grew up on a farm. We had a hobby farm, very small, compared to everybody else around us, to be honest. We only had 40 acres, which by our standards is humongous now on a small suburban block. But yeah, I grew up with chickens and the orchard and walking out and picking out fresh potatoes ready for dinner and going out and getting a nectarine afternoon tea and picking up the strawberries as you go to hang out the washing. It was a way of life. My parents worked in town, so we didn't run a full agriculture farm like others did in the area, but we still lived on the land. We still knew where our food came from. Even if we didn't grow it all ourselves, we still had that connection. So I was quite fortunate to grow up with that. And so then I got married and have kids. I lived in London for a year, and then we moved here to the Blue Mountains where my husband is from. And I really, really missed that connection to the land. And so I started growing herbs in pots and things like that. And then a little bit more in a strawberry patch and a little bit more and getting chickens and just, getting that feel back again. But yeah, I kind of lost that feeling when I had kids. I had always that passion and that drive. And then I had postnatal and I just lost a little bit of me. And I guess I was trying to find me again in a new world. I didn't feel like me. I was mum. I was mummy. I was mummy. As you can understand, I wanted to find out who I was, but and who I wanted to be. And so I guess I started looking and scrolling on Facebook at the time. I think it was, what was that silly game, Farm something on Facebook many years ago.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. And it just made me think, oh, yeah, I used to love growing strawberries. So it started, Mum brought me up some strawberries from the farm and planted those and watched them grow. And then, of course, what grows well with strawberries? And I Googled that and then another video popped up and then, spring onions and marigolds and, you can plant that. Okay, I'll plant some chives in and it was thriving until the toddler ate all my strawberries. So I put a cage over it so the dog and the toddler could not eat the strawberries. And then I kept watching different videos and I guess permaculture ones just really resonated with me more so than just gardening, because permaculture is a lot more than gardening. It's about connection. It's about people. It's about your village and not just you growing for you. It's not about self-sufficiency. It's about community. And that's what I was passionate about, was growing community, because I didn't have one. I moved away from my home and my friends and my family, and I moved up to a new area. So permaculture has given me that family that I've been looking for. So I think it was Nevin from Under the Choco Tree. He was my first permaculture teacher. I went to a workshop. My youngest was turned 1, only just, and I said to my husband, here you go, it's Mother's Day, see ya. I went to a local workshop and I was free for 3 hours and it was bliss. And I made mistakes even in the workshop, and then I learnt from that very quickly.
Yeah, I think a lot of mums can resonate with that, and even people just during COVID, that coming back to yourself and figuring out what you want and kind of exploring. I think a lot of people come to permaculture, through those times. So I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah. I think it's about finding a system that works for you. Like permaculture looks different for everybody. There's so many different styles, and you might have somebody who's neat and orderly, and then you have me in the chaos, and it's and that's okay. Permaculture isn't just one system. Permaculture is making the best out of what you have and sharing that with others, and caring for the earth at the same time. It's not inward. It's not about me. It's about us. It's about everybody. And I think that's what every human is really striving for, whether they admit it or not. That we all want that connection. So permaculture just makes sense.
A lot of people live that way and then go, oh, there's a word for that. Oh, it's permaculture. Yes. I'm already doing this. I just didn't know I was, it was labelled as permaculture. So I think a lot of people want to tread more lightly and be part of a community and do these things. But it's nice to have that framework, I guess, to guide you sometimes.
That's right. I mean, history has shown us that villages and tribes have always done what we call now permaculture. And even actual permaculture that was written by Bill Morrison and David Holgram it still stemmed from research that had been done by history, that
Yep.
is just recorded differently. It doesn't mean that they own it. They just coined the word permaculture.
Exactly.
But it has been a way of life since the very beginning, when that first tree sprung and that first seed blossomed. Like, it is a way of life, and it always has been. We just forgot.
That's
And
it, exactly. And
permaculture
they've just been able
reminds
to
us.
then put that into some sort of form, and them and many others after them as well, like, Roe Morrow and
That's
so
right.
many other greats who have then given us the information that's digestible in a modern world and contextually can be applicable to a modern world, and then how we can then utilize that to design our systems, to design our communities, and really create what used to be, but in our current context.
That's right. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's still evolving. There's still been more research being done and branching off, and there's still much deeper connections being made through books and research and things. The scientists are actually getting nitty gritty, but we know that you need soil connections to be able to grow healthier food. But somewhere along the way, since 1950, I'm sure we've lost those connections, and it's all about fast pace. It's all about instant gratification. It's all about, I want it now. We sound like toddlers all the time. What? My laptop's not working. Hello, excuse me. It was meant to work. It should have worked. And
I should press a button and
life,
things should happen straight away. Yeah.
absolutely. And it should have known that I wanted to press that button beforehand. It takes out the work out of life. So yeah, whereas permaculture, you are connected at every stage. And I think that's really important as well with every system.
So tell us a bit more about the work that you're doing in schools with the Stephanie Alexander program.
Yeah, so I went in as a mum, and I have then been employed and been through the official processes, and I'm now permanently employed at 2 schools. So I go in as an educator, and I support 2 programs. One of them is a science and sustainability program, and the other one is a sustainability and wellbeing program. So science is obviously living world, but I also like to include a lot of wellbeing in there. I believe there's so much that children can learn from observation and documentation. You don't have to always set go by a set criteria that you must complete this to be able to learn the same outcomes. I really believe in following your instinct and following nature. We had a lot of issues with flooding at one of the schools, and so we were then had to rebuild, but it gave a huge opportunity to change the program and say, let's redesign and let's have a look at what we've got. We spent a year observing every class, every week we observed, and we documented that, and then we collaborated together and we came up with what was the best solution for the school. And so those projects are still, we had 4 phases, and we've completed the first. Phase 2 is coming in September. October, November will be phase 3, and maybe next year phase 4. So, and the kids will know it's not going to happen instantly. We will not see everything. And sometimes we plant seeds and the cockatoos come in and eat every single one of them again and again. Okay, let's try this solution. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try this. Nope, that didn't work either. But every failure is actually just a platform for us to keep exploring and try new things and to learn together. I'm still learning, and we're still learning together. The other program is mental health is obviously quite important to me and to my family. I've seen a lot of waves over the last few years, so my focus with that program has always been about what works for me and sharing that with others, learning new things and exploring new options of whether it is painting, which I'm terrible at painting, but I love the process, appreciating nature around you, whether it's through photography or drawing or painting or using observation through a different lens. And I think it's important for the children to think outward instead of inward, and for the teachers and adults and all the community that join us as well. So we focus on what can be, not just what we feel right now. So yeah, it's a journey. It's always evolving, and my program, I'm currently working on a new program, which is called Mind, Body and Soil. And so I'm expanding on all my experiences over the last 7 years so that I'm putting it together from a 0 to 18 or 0 to 100 program, I guess, really, because we're still all lifelong learners. And things that you can teach from babies, and tasting fresh pumpkin that has just been pureed that you picked from the garden, all the way through to I guess the other end where you're back to pureed pumpkin. But, there's so much growing in between. There's so many more different varieties of pumpkin that you can experience and grow and share. So I think, that's where my focus is now, is to regroup all my thoughts, all my experiences, all my failures, and put it all together into something, what works, what doesn't, and what can be. So that's where I'm at with all 3 programs.
Brilliant. I love that you touched on, like, with the kids and their outward thinking as well, like just thinking, and this is something Alysse and I were talking about a bit earlier around, that, and you mentioned before, instant gratification and, the Black Mirror, like, everyone, including very young children, just gets sucked into the Webiverse of whatever it is that they're looking, but that's still just them being constantly reflected back, as opposed to just that outward thinking and putting things out there and having those bigger discussions, and then having that patience through observation and through testing and measuring and getting the feedback and then making those adjustments. I mean, I don't think a lot of kids would really experience being able to do that. So for you to be able to just even bring that to them, like, that's just such a huge thing.
Yeah, I have to admit, my favorite new thing that I've been doing is I've always had a basket of show and tell, but now I have a whole table, and it's just set up of new things. It doesn't matter what I'm experimenting with at home. It might be growing basil that I'd bought from the shop and regrowing it for the kids. It might be regrowing, what have I got at the moment? I've got mint and rosemary and thyme growing in a cotton wool jar on the windowsill, or it might be a pineapple that we're regrowing in the bathroom. Who knows? It could be even the mushrooms that I'm growing under a towel. It's just different every week. And then I just have a display table, and I show the different stages of growth so that they can physically see. A nasturtium starts with a seed. Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. And then the patterns, and as the different colors and varieties of on the same plant from the same seed. And it's just amazing for the children to see those differences, but it's still a part of the same plant.
So have you had kids that have come back to you and they're like, oh, I went home and I told mum and dad this, and then now we've got a herb garden, or we've planted strawberries, or we're starting our own pineapple. Have you had that sort of experience with the kids being able to take that into the home?
I think we do all the time. I think my favorite one is kids bringing back. I love sunflowers. I love them so much. I don't have any
my favorite too
with me at the moment. Love them, and I normally have a big sunflower shirt, but I'm wearing my Grow Positive Thoughts t-shirt. And I think sunflowers has been my biggest one. So I do a lot of sunflowers are healing, and they heal the soil, they heal the soul, and they're ever giving. One sunflower can produce thousands of seeds. And so I buy them in bulk, and we do little seed packets. I gift them out. I leave them in little street libraries. I leave them in actual libraries. I leave them wherever I go. I leave them in letterboxes of schools that I drive past. And I've been given photos and sent photos. I did a big trip last year, and I got photos back saying, this child took them home, and the mum said, no, you can't grow them. They won't grow out here. This is out back. Anyway, looked after his sunflower patch, took photos to school, showed the teacher, kept doing it. And then I got at December this amazing sunflower patch out in the middle of Whoop Whoop, growing beautiful, radiant sunflowers. And then he saved the seeds.
Oh,
and then the journey begins again. And I'm like, this is why I do what I do. So it's amazing to be able to see that. And every week the children are like, oh, I'm not going to eat carrot. I hate carrot. I'm like, that's all right. So do I. I hate it with a passion. Mum still puts honey on my carrots. I hate carrots. I really do. But I still eat them, and I still eat them for my children's sake. I don't like them, but I eat them. And then just seeing kids, like yesterday, I had one of the my little friends, I call them, at the Early Learning Centre, they they said, I'm not touching that, it's got carrot on. I'm like, oh, what, this? Oh, I'm sorry. And I just sprinkled it on. Oh, it's on everything. You'll just have to try it. And they tried and they're like, oh, I'm going to have to tell Mum I like carrot now. So
real
and I'm
carrot.
like, yes, you can do real carrot. So, those little things, they make a big difference. And it starts small. So, I do enjoy being able to show that you can grow from nothing, sharing a few seeds, or even regrowing. Regrowing is one of my favorite experiments, because it doesn't matter if my seeds fail. I can regrow from spring onion scraps. I can regrow broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
I can regrow carrot tops. I did something really funky the other week, and I can't remember what it was. There was one, I was like, oh, that is so not going to grow. Kale. I've never regrown kale, but I can. And I did. And it's amazing and thriving a lot quicker than from seed. And it is so robust. And it's fabulous.
So when you say you regrew kale, from what part of the plant? What did you do?
Yeah.
So this was the experiment. So they were making kale chips in the kitchen. So we're very fortunate at one of the schools. We have a teacher who is in the kitchen, and they take half the class. And then I have me with the classroom teacher, and we've got half a class. So it's a lot less crazy than when you've got 30 kids and trying to do everything in a small space. And so they were making kale chips, and they sent back the scraps. And I said, oh, actually, can I please have those? And let's give it a go. And there was one with a stem, because I'd just snapped it off instead of cutting the leaves off. So, and then we had some leaves, and I said, do you want to give it a go? And they're like, yeah, let's regrow it. I'm like, okay. So we had 2 jars for 3 weeks, and we wanted to see which one would actually grow. So which one do you think grew the best?
Oh, I don't know. The ones with the leaves on it, I guess.
Yeah,
what do you think,
idea.
Jo?
I don't know. I'd probably go with the one with the leaves too.
It was the leafless stem.
There you go.
It was fantastic. So, it was just like regrowing the celery and regrowing bok choy and everything else that we do. But, it was fantastic.
So, that sounds like my kitchen window.
Yeah.
I've got 3 celeries on the go.
I literally, my husband said, I've only got this little window of literally the window sill, and he said, I don't want it all over the bench. And I'm looking at it today going, I don't think he'll be so happy when he comes home, because I brought all the science experiments home to watch. There are some on the front doorstep, some near the car, some in the bathroom, some in the kitchen. So I might need another shelf. But it's a lot of fun.
So interesting.
That's what it's about. It needs to be fun. If it's just about ticking boxes, if it is just about saying that we talked about living world rather than living in the world, they're not going to learn. They need to get their hands in the dirt. They need to smell that fresh rosemary and go and eat parsley. Oh my gosh, and spring onions. The kids will literally just walk past and grab a huge chunk, not just a little taste of spring onion. Can I have some? And they'll snap it off and walk around chewing it. I'm like, glad you're not in my classroom. They just walk around with spring onions chomping away, and then they'll go and chomp on the nasturtiums and go, it's hot, and then they'll go, and I said, don't drink the tap water from that. And they're like, why not? And I said, because it's got built-in fertilizer. The ducks live on top of the water tank at school. And I said, no, that's our fertilizer system. Don't drink from that tap. And one kid goes, I just did. Oops. So I'm like, you'll be right.
Did you tell him you'll grow faster?
I should, but there's a lot of things.
It's funny you say that about the curriculum, because I'm homeschooling. So my daughter's in kindy this year. So it's our first year of doing it. And it came to mid through the year. And I thought, I'll just jump on and have a look at all the outcomes and see, how we're roughly kind of tracking, because we're not, we don't follow it to a T. We kind of just go out and experience things and then go, that relates back to this. And when I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? We've ticked off most of maths and the English curriculum, obviously a bit more structured, and we're finding our way with that. But with everything else, I was like, we've ticked all these boxes off. Like, she's out in the yard, like, without even having to sit and make sure we're meeting them. And then I was just curious, and I went to the next year and the year above. And I'm like, some of this stuff she just knows so intrinsically from being out in the world. We caravanned around Australia for a little while, but our garden and her experiences, like you said, getting out there and living it and experiencing it is teaching them so much. And it's so amazing that schools are starting to integrate that more and more into the curriculum.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I do believe that the actual curriculum is including much more food technology in high school, as well as in primary school. That we've always had Living World with science in primary school, but there is just so much more to it. And literally, there is a free program which anybody can download from the Department of Ed. It's on their website, which is the Kitchen Garden program, and that's where I started. And so
Okay.
I'll flick it to you. It's my base. It's where I start. It's where I go back to when I feel lost. It's where I get my grounding and go, yep, somebody else has done this before. I don't have to do it. I don't love it. I do a 2-year program. It's 1 year. But to be honest, if we repeat it again and again and again, the kids will still learn something different because there are different things that
100%.
we're growing, and there's different things that I'm growing. There's different weather that will impact everything.
So many different influences.
We may do the same activity.
Yeah, it's funny,
and
when you
repetition
mentioned
is the thing, isn't it?
When you mentioned food technology, I went back to my high school food tech days. Everything we did came out of a can or a packet. I can't remember. I think maybe chopping an onion, maybe, but I don't remember chopping any fresh food. I don't remember having that. It was always open this can, open this packet, add water, do this, do that. Like, if we were ever needed to live in a bunker for 10 years, then, my cooking skills are set from high school.
We'd be calling Joe.
You sorted.
It was just, and you know what? And we had agriculture. Like, we had a huge ag plot at school as well. But it was all about animals. It wasn't about food growing, and it certainly wasn't about integration. Like, everything was segregated. Like, I look back on it now and just go, it's the opposite of what we're doing now.
I know there's so much room for expansion and improvement. And I have to say, my daughter is in year 7 and finished food technology, and she loved it. And I asked for some of the recipes, and I asked, do they do this? Do they do that? Do they grow herbs? They've got veggie plots. What's in there? Do they have cross system? And what's next? And she's like, no. And so I'm like, okay. Went to the teacher at parent teacher interview. Do you do this, this, and that? Oh, no. Went to the head teacher who I bumped into. Oh, so what do you do with the agriculture side? Do you go, oh, no, that's too hard. We put YouTube on. I'm like, yes, but you can't feel it. You can't be it. And I'm like to my daughter, can I please give you fresh herbs to take in at least? And she goes, don't you dare. I'm like, it's just.
I don't want to be the odd one out. I don't want to be that person. Lost it. Yeah.
No, I know. And that's just that disconnection. Like, why shouldn't it be okay? And then, it's just that disconnection of where does the food come from? Hey, you can't just pull a carrot out just because you want the one carrot that's left in the plot that I'm saving for seed. No, you're one of 400 odd kids here. You don't get that one carrot. We're growing it for seed to share with everybody. And they're like, but I want a carrot. They don't understand that it takes months and months for a carrot to grow. And the fact that Mrs. Ely is terrible at growing carrots. And so that one is a winner. So we'll just keep that one. Thank you. I feel that there's a lot of room for improvement, which is why I want to develop Mind, Body and Soil and have that available as a resource as well. I love the resources on the Stephanie Alexander Foundation. It is literally what helps keep me going. I had just started officially working and lockdown hit, and so I lived on their website and using all the resources, and I'm still doing training regularly, even though I've been doing this for years, simply to keep updated and to keep learning and to make those connections with other people so we can keep giving ideas. And at the moment, to be honest, I feel like a bit of a failure with a lot of my growing at home, at school, both schools, because of time and energy and, other things that we can't control. What I can control is the herbs in my kitchen. What I can control is what I grow near the chicken coop. What I can control is how I react to things not growing. Those are things that need to be taught. It's not always.
And you know what? You're always going to have failures. There's always going to be something that doesn't work. There's always some unexpected, like the floods that come through, or we have, all of a sudden we have 3 days of 40 plus degrees that, we weren't prepared for, or whatever that is. Or, you get sick and you just don't get a chance to get back out into the garden, and those little seedlings that you nurtured and planted out the 2 weeks before have all gone, like shit happens, right? Like that's just life. And I think that, teaching the kids about resilience, because that's what it is, isn't it? It's being resilient through
100%.
What can I control? What can't I control? What is my mindset about it? Like, do I go out there and throw myself on the ground and have a tantrum because my seedlings are dead? Or do I look at that and go, okay, could I have done something better or done something different to prevent that? Or do I just cop it on the chin and go, it was one of those things and I had no control over it, move on?
And where do I go from here? Is it actually dead? I mean, have you seen the graveyard outside my front door? There's all these seedlings that I forgot to water for 2 weeks, and we've gone into a heat wave of spring instead of winter.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so, a bit of sea soul and a little bit of love and a bit of water, and some of them are coming back and some aren't, but you get that.
That's it.
And then it's like, okay, it's obviously too hot there. Let's move the graveyard to another spot. And then they will die there, and then I'll try again and I'll go buy some more.
And then all of a sudden,
I might remember to plant them.
That's it.
Right.
I did parsnips, and I know parsnips are notoriously difficult to get started. And I think out of probably 100 seeds that I put in, I may have a handful coming up. And I am so excited by the fact that I may have a handful of parsnips to harvest at some stage.
Yeah. They are the best, I have to say. I don't know who planted them, but at one of the school gardens, one of the volunteers that put them in, I'm like, yeah, let's give it a go. And they were prolific. They were amazing. And you know what?
Wow.
Because we've rebuilt as wicking beds rather than in-ground garden beds, we're still getting parsnips all through the grass. It's hilarious. I love it. And then I just go and pull them up, and they get mowed over, trodden on it all the time. And I'm like, if you're that strong and resilient, I want you in the garden. And then they die in the garden. But it's just things. Trial and error.
Yeah.
And just keep growing. Just keep growing is the whole motto. So it's definitely a journey.
You alluded to it before, how much has changed since the 1950s. Like, people aren't growing food as much, and, you're so removed from our food system. But I think some of that resilience we've lost as well. I think people just, like you said, because we live in this instant culture, we have lost a bit of that resilience to bounce back or to accept adversity, I think. And gardening is such a great way to make you humble, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. If you don't feel humble when you're trying to grow a crop of carrots, nothing will make you feel humble.
Yeah, exactly.
Or parsnips. So, I think it is important for us to remember that they were growing victory gardens for a reason. They fought for it. They worked hard. They were in the trenches, literally. Trench composting you can do. And there's so much that you have to go through that muck to be able to get that blossom, to be able to be fruitful. And one of my favorite things to teach about resilience is the kids. I teach compost. Obviously, I love compost. I love worms. I love that whole system, and they're superheroes. I love it. And one of them is that it doesn't matter what's going on, what went wrong today, what went wrong yesterday or last week. Just let it break down, let it go. And let all that nastiness of all those big emotions, everything from lockdown, isolation, that disconnection from everybody, that disconnection with yourself, especially with mental health, whether it be depression or anxiety or anything, just let it go and let it break down, and surround yourself with the superheroes, which, are your friends, your family, your teachers, your neighbors. Build that community. And that's what worms do. They all work together to break everything down. And then you have to rest. Rest is a really important key that everybody forgets. And I think one thing I loved about lockdown, everybody raves about how bad it was and how obnoxious. And I'm like, it was nice at some points. It was stressful, but hello, we got to stay in our pajamas and wear them to work. It was just throw on a hoodie and you're done. There was just so much that we can learn from the slowdown rather than a lockdown, the slowdown process. And let things rest. And then you can continue to grow and blossom. And that's what I love teaching with the compost lesson. And
Yeah.
anxiety is a big one, especially in year 6. They're heading off to high school and it's unknown, and it is very different, speaking as a year 7 parent. And I can then take that back to them and say, look, I understand, I can see it firsthand. This is the next step. And so we write down all our anxieties or things that they're worried about. There's a lot of people who are worried about the job situation at the moment and cost of living. And we write all our anxieties down on a piece of cardboard. And then we flip it over and we put compost on top of it. So we put it over a garden bed that needs to be rebuilt. And then we put some compost and some mulch, and we let all those anxieties go. They come back, the cardboard is gone, and there's beautiful things growing in that garden the next year or a few months later. It's just really good for them to see, the change in the process, but it doesn't happen instantly.
Yeah.
And I think to get back, I told you I'd go off track. To get back to the 1950s, they accepted it was just a part of life. If you didn't grow your own compost, you had to buy it in, and nobody had money for that.
Yeah.
If you didn't grow your own, you didn't get it because there weren't places that were going to get exotic foods. You literally grew meat and veg, and then you traded with the neighbor, and you went out and hunted rabbits, or you
did what you had to do
off the land, or you did what you had to do to survive. There's so many life lessons that we could learn from before 1950 that we really should be applying today.
And even from
I think we're just so go.
So sorry, I was going to say, even from the nutrition factor, like there wasn't the chemicals that we have now. I mean, you go to the big green shed or any nursery, and there are just aisles and rows of things to kill plants, to make them grow, to adjust the pH, to do this, to do that, when we just don't need it. We do not need it. And I think that people get lost in that as well. Like every time I go there and, you see someone walk out with Roundup or something like that, and my eye twitch, and I'm just like, just don't. I feel like tackling them around the legs going, please don't do it. You just don't know how bad it is. Like it's, again, it's cyclic. Yeah. It's working with what you have and not expecting, that you plant something today and tomorrow you're going to harvest it. It is that slow burn.
Yeah.
That's right. I had kids coming up to me and said, why do we have to pull out the weeds? We use butter knives, and we dig only in certain areas. We have different weed management for different areas. And so I give them a blunt knife, and I just say, just go and dig around the base and just pull it up. Others we chop and drop, depends what sort of weed it is and how obnoxious it is in what area. And they're like, no, we'll just go I've got Roundup at home, I'll just bring it in. I'm like, I don't think so. Nuh-uh, not on my land. We're not doing that. And I know that I live in suburbia. I can literally see through my window, I can see my neighbour's window, and it is very different to how I was growing up.
But also it's that why. Like, why? Why do you want to go use Roundup? Like, this is such a simple thing to pick it up and drop it on the ground, and it's not there anymore. Like, why do we need these things? And just questioning. And I think kids are the best at calling us when we're doing something wrong. Like when I was teaching still and all the green bins came in, the way you could put your food scraps. I remember parents coming in because we'd teach the kids about it, obviously, and our local council had programs that we could implement. And the parents were like, you're killing me. Like, I can't throw anything in my red bin that's not meant to be there. And I can't put the plastic, I can't put the plastic where, in this bin, and they're wanting me to look at all the triangles and figure out where it's meant to go. And they're like, you're killing me. But, kids get so invested, and I think that's why a lot of programs are targeted at kids, because they call out their parents on their behaviours, but it's also instilling that and kind of breaking that cycle as much as we can. And they just get so invested, especially that early years in primary age, where they haven't gotten too cool for, everything. They really get invested, and they get so into it, and they just throw themselves into things, and they get so passionate. So I think it's such a good age to be involved with and to mold. And when you were talking before about the sunflower seeds, it just reminded me when people say, I'm just one person, what can I do? That's just such a perfect example of that little boy out in Whoop Whoop who's then might share his seeds because he's inspired by someone else that has shared seeds with him, and that ripple effect and that community swell that can happen. And to never think that you're just one person doing something, because your actions have big impacts when you really especially put it out there with that energy, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's easier to teach the kids because it's a system. It's color coded, it's easy, it's very clear. There is very clear signage, what to do, how to do it, and how regularly to put the bin out. And so I think it's easy for them. And if anything, they actually enjoy that repetition. It's then when you go to school and you're like, oh, no, I can't put it in this bin. No, I can't put it in that bin. You need to have consistency between the early learning with home, with high school, with primary school, and then when they get old enough, their own home. So if making that system simple, like the FOGO bins, is great. We've only got green waste, as in garden waste at the moment. And then Blue Mountains, they're hoping to roll out FOGO, but it's just, that's an opportunity for people who don't compost to be able to still feel like they're doing better. And even if they still have to use the trucks to go off site and they've still got all that carbon footprint, at least it's better than just burying it. You've got to deal with the muck in your life sometimes, and you still have to be responsible for your share. So, and I think the kids teaching their parents that is really important.
So. I think that's a cool exercise too, to think about, what if the bins didn't show up?
Yep.
What would happen with all of our waste? Where would it go? What would you do? What would you have to change so that you didn't have all this waste piling up in your back garden? And where does it go? It doesn't just go away. Where's
somewhere.
Where is away? Where is somewhere?
Where is away? So, I think it's the movie The Story of Stuff.
Yes.
We had, so one of the other things I do in my spare time is that I help coordinate, I knew you'd appreciate that. I help coordinate the Blue Mountain Sustainable Schools Network. Okay. I was feeling very lost. I was one of a kind, and there's not many kitchen garden educators in the mountains. There was no other programs running. And so I was trying to make connections and trying to meet people, and a few people were doing garden club at lunchtime once a week, or, oh no, I got too hard with duties, and then you changed. And so my friend and I created a group called Environmental Educators online to be able to connect to people. And then my friend started Blue Mountain Sustainable Schools Network. And so then we realized that we're all doing the same thing, similar but different. And so we decided two heads are better than one. And so we converged the two groups together on Facebook, and then we extended it and started doing meetups at just one of the schools. 3 or 4 people would show up, and we thought that was huge. And then we've started to make that more into a structured meeting setting, I guess. So we will meet, we'll gather, we'll have something to eat, and we've brought in some guest speakers. So it's an opportunity to go visiting other schools, and an opportunity for their principal to go, oh, yes, absolutely, come in. Oh, we don't have anything to show. Or, oh, yes, come and show off our school and what's working, what's not. And it's an opportunity for all of us to gather. I think we had 17 at one of them recently, which was amazing. Awesome. From so many different schools, some of them from the same school, but you've got the P&C president, you've got a parent rep, you've got the teacher. One of them had 2 teachers. So it's just been really good to have that network. And we recently had the council come in and do and recycle and waste is our big thing. And that I asked everyone at the beginning of this year, what are your big challenges? How can we work through those solutions by the end of the year and give you that support and to empower each school? So recycling and waste have been big ones. So we brought in the Blue Mountain City Council consultant to talk about waste and where does your waste go. Even though what we're collecting at school goes through the school bin system, we can teach the kids at school. Then they can be more consistent at home, and they might actually bring less waste to school if they're focusing more on where does food come from, how do we grow it. Oh, wait, hang on, this is a packet of chips. It doesn't really grow from anything because it's all heavily processed. There's a very tiny little bit of potato in there. But, where does that chip packet go when it doesn't go in the bin? Or if it blows out of the bin and the cockatoo runs off with it, or the cockatoo are so smart at school, they literally undo the school bags if it's left open a tiny bit, and they crack open all the school lunch boxes and the kids don't get their sandwiches. So it's been really good to have those resources presented to us as a group that then we can take back. So the story of stuff, a video about where the bin goes from your pickup outside your home. Where does your rubbish actually go? Oh, wait, that's just down the road from me. Oh, hang on a second. And all the things that, the kids go, oh, it's that aha moment. Maybe I'm putting rubbish literally in my backyard or 5 minutes down the road. Like, that is a big, moment for them. So, yeah, it was really great to be able to see and be presented and have that support as well, to collaborate with the council and to collaborate with the local high schools and primary schools. And we had preschools and early learning centres there represented as well.
So cool. You'll have to share all those links with us so we can put them in the show notes for anybody that's interested, or maybe that wants to get in contact and do something similar in their area. So what 100%. Else have you got going on? You were saying you've got, before we went on air, some big things happening in your world.
Yeah, September's always a busy month, but it's especially busy this spring. So it's always busy. It's my birthday, my daughter's birthday, so everything's always happening. And of course, spring planting and preparing. And then I go and accept a workshop out in Mudgee. So I'm going out for 4 days actually to Mudgee with Landcare to their Green Day Sustainability workshop, where all different schools from the Central West area then come together. We might have 650 kids, and I'll probably see about 100 kids on rotation, do a little workshop with them, and then they'll move on and you get to meet other environmental educators. Or we had WIRES there last year, so there's a huge network. The Environmental Education Centre as well will be there, keynote speakers and visitors, and then little old me.
Fantastic.
So
cool.
It'd be so good just to connect. I'm actually disconnecting to reconnect. I'm leaving my family at home, and I always pick a place that doesn't have reception a little bit.
So I am going to. That's so good.
I know. And my friends and other people have said, "Oh, I'll come with you next year." It's my second year going out and third year going to Mudgee in spring, and I'm like, No, sorry, I'm working for 3 days. No, it's really, really busy. And I've booked a little tiny house next to a vineyard, so I can just,
that'd be perfect.
Disconnect.
Beautiful.
It'll be perfect.
So much to just wander around and see there in Mudgee.
Yeah, I don't know how much time I'll have, but it'd be nice to just be. And that's going to be my annual thing. If I did it last year, year before I went to a workshop out there in November, so that was fantastic. So this time it's time to give back to the community and to learn from the community and to reconnect. Last year I left seeds after the event. I went and visited other schools, just, popped in, can I come and see your garden? Can I say hi? And kids go like, I saw you yesterday. And so that was really nice to have those connections. I'm hoping to do the same again and take different seeds out this time and check in on them and say hello and and then come home after a road trip and pack again for another road trip. I've got 3 workshops within 4 weeks of each other.
Wow.
So, and it's not usual, but it's becoming a little bit more common lately. And so, I'm running a school holiday workshop. I've been asked for years to do one, and I've finally said, yes, okay, let's do one. Thinking, yep, I've got this. It's garden. I'm okay. They're like, oh, yeah, I'd really like a cooking workshop. I'm like, okay. It's not my strength, but at the same time, I have been doing it for 5 years, but it's still not my strongest point. But so I'm excited about that new prospect, and that's with Belong Neighbourhood Centre at the Neighbourhood Centre. So we'll be working together all these years that we've been supporting each other and doing these little workshops for them. Yeah. And so that'll be a bit of fun. I'm going to cook risotto, so we'll see how that one goes with fresh herbs and pumpkin.
Nice.
And then in October. It was really good. I've tested it out a lot of my family the last few weeks. I did it with all my classes this week, And they just had so much fun. It's my new signature dish where you have a nasturtium leaf and then you pop a little bit of risotto on it, and then you decorate it with whatever you want. It could be edible flowers and make it into a flower garden. It could be fruits and vegetables. It could just be smashed on a plate. It doesn't matter. You could do like a flower wreath all around it. Whatever it is, it's your art, but it's edible art. And so they were so excited.
So cool.
Yeah. And then in October, I'll pack up the kids and drop them off to mum. And I'm heading down to the Australian Environmental Educators Conference for the New South Wales chapter. And I won't just be participating, I'm actually presenting as well. So
exciting.
Cool.
That's down in Albury?
Yeah. It's down in Albury at Charles Sturt University. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So what are the dates?
Hot off the press.
So what are the dates? So you've got Mudgee in...
that's the 12th of September. So I'll be going out the 11th till the 14th. And then I'll be doing a workshop on the 30th of September in Lower Blue Mountains, either Warrimo or Blaxland. And then I'm heading down to Albury. So, yeah, I'm hoping to connect with a few friends, and we've just booked an Airbnb together so that then we can have a few of us and just hang out. It'll be fun.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Yes. So,
we're coming up to nearly an hour of chatting, believe it or not.
No way.
I know. So, we always end our podcast by asking our grounding question, which is, if you were giving advice to someone else who was just starting out on their permaculture journey, what would that advice be?
I thought about this a lot since you emailed me the question, and I don't have one piece of advice, but my big thing is just grow where you are. You know, you might be in that growing in the kitchen and the bathroom stage. You might be on a massive farm that you can do regenerative agriculture. You might live in suburbia where you need a courtyard garden. You might be, who knows where you are, traveling in a caravan or coming back from travels. But just every choice that you make, it is your choice. It is how we care for people. It is how we care for the earth. And it's how we care for the future as well. It's all about our choices now. And it could just be what makeup you buy, or what shampoo, or which hairdresser you go to because they use organic hair products. It might be reducing the waste that you bring in at home. It might be how you deal with the waste on home. But wherever stage you are at, just grow where you are. And then just grow from there.
Oh, I love that.
Yep, that's incredibly good advice. Well, thank you so much, Beth, for joining us today and having a chat. It's been such an eye-opener for me, because I'm so far out of the other side of younger kids now. So I always like hearing about what's happening, and like just thinking back to when my kids were at school and when I was at school. You know, the programs that are now being introduced into schools, the things that you're doing within schools, like to be able to then, you know, proliferate that out and, you know, just multiply and have that throughout all schools, to have it as a normal thing, not like the, you know, a little extra that this particular school has. I just think that would be like, that's where I sort of went, just like, how good would it be to have it across everything? But I think what you're doing is,
that's the dream.
So valuable. It's so amazing. So thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries. Thank you very much for listening to my rambling. I appreciate it.
And we'll put all the links to where you can find Beth and what she's doing and all that in our show notes. So please jump in there and have a look.
No worries. And thank you. And follow me down the garden path to learn, grow and blossom with Dirt Mum.
Lovely. Thank you so much,
Thank
Beth.
you. No worries. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Practical Permaculture podcast. Jump onto our Facebook group to keep the chat going and to look for any resources that we mentioned on today's show. Look in the show notes.
And if you liked the episode today, then subscribe. Please give us a review and share. And if you didn't, then that's okay. We'll sure you'll find the right podcast for you.
Bye.
Bye.